I can always change this later.
Okay. My
Right,
lighting
I
is
think,
good.
hey,
My lighting is good.
always change this later. Yeah, your lighting's fine.
Okay.
Good morning. Or is it good afternoon for you? Two
Uh,
minutes till 12 in Kenya.
it's 2 minutes to afternoon in Kenya.
Whereabouts in Kenya? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Good. My name is Jephunneh. I'm 24 years old. Uh, I run a company called TheraBot. I'm an entrepreneur and also a founder. And a bit about myself. I think I'm funny. I know how to create conversations and I know how to make people laugh. And what else? Apart from that, I'm a Christian. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of Christian?
Wow. I'm a Pentecostal Christian who believes in the death of Christ and the resurrection of Christ. And so I'm a believer that, at one point he will come back and take us home. Yeah.
Okay. And how does your belief in Christ and Christianity tie into the world of technology and AI and therapy?
Good. So since I'm from a Christian home, I'm from a Christian background, and so being that I'm from a Christian background, I learned a little bit pieces of things from my parents. My parents were givers. They used to give everything. They could give everything until at the end of the day, you don't have anything to eat, but then someone just shows up with food at the end of the day. And so a little bit about how this started was, you know, we had the mandate, or we had the weight on our hands to actually try to make help easier and cheaper and accessible anywhere, anytime. And because I have that heart of a giver, I was like, you know what? Can we just create something that is accessible and free for every other person to actually get therapy out of it? And so that side of me, that giver side of me, actually brought out TheraBot to be, one of the things that can be accessed for free. Yeah.
Okay, so I have similar values to
Okay.
you. Yep, I was born into Christianity.
Okay.
I see myself as a Christian, but I'm not a church-going Christian.
Okay.
Yeah, I swear, and I come from a very checkered background, and but I do believe in redemption
Okay.
and forgiveness, and my addiction journey, yep, and recovery from addiction definitely had a spiritual component to it. And then if and I went a 12-step route, and the 12th step says that I've forgotten what the 12 step says. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry the message to the alcoholic who still suffers and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Now, a lot of addiction treatment has been modeled around 12 steps and spiritual principles, which has a heart in Christianity. And the men that constructed Western psychology often came from kind of church backgrounds, or their fathers were pastors or rabbis or things like that. Yeah, so it's got a very Judeo-Christian influence. And in postmodernism, Christianity and the church and therapy kind of split away.
Yeah.
Yep. And now what we have is we now have technology coming in to try and be a tool to connect people back to spiritual principles, which is going to empower them and help them in their recovery, and
Yeah.
to make this more accessible to more people. So me and you are both technologists. Yeah, we
Yeah.
both love technology. We both love it's both spiritually fulfilling for both of us to give this stuff away,
Yeah.
and so let's build on that foundation. Yeah. And just for a bit of context, every year I do a pilgrimage on the 2nd of January for 42 days. I just follow where I'm meant to be going, and I'm quite conscious about it. And our therapeutic program is split up into 4 modules.
Okay.
The first week is spiritual principles. The second week is the brain and the mind. The third week is community and growth. And then the fourth week is recovery and resilience. And the structure of that is, and sorry I'm talking too much, but I'll get over that in a second. The structure of that is you understand what spiritual principles are. The following week, you understand your thinking and cognition around it. So when you react or respond to something or engage, it has a foundation of spiritual principles. Then you move into communities that are going to support your personal growth. And then the fourth week is resilient. Now you're entering back into this world. How are you going to maintain what it is? So, from a Christian perspective, that were people that are called backsliders. So they come into a church, they have a spiritual awakening, maybe they're born again or something. Then they go out into the world and then they backslide. So this is structured in a way to help support and contain people on their journey. Right, over
Yeah.
to you now. So we're just placing the context and everything.
Yep.
Okay, go for it. What do you want us to know about you?
Interesting. So my background with mental health and how it pushed me to, create something that at the end of the day is serving hundreds of thousands of people. So my background in mental health, when I was growing up, I was this kind of strong mental health person because I was a firstborn. And in our culture, firstborns are the strongest people in the family. So you stand up for your brothers. I have 4 siblings, very handsome boys. You stand up for your brothers. You have to stand up for them in school. You have to stand up for them when they're bullied. You have to stand up for them when they're. And in my family, we are slender, tall people. And so my brothers used to get bullied around, being slender and being tall. And so you have to stand up for them. And so growing up, I knew that, what, mental health is not my thing because I am I'm the family champion. And so I'm supposed to be the strongest, even if I'm not feeling better, but I have to, work hard to make sure that every other person feels nice. And so it happened that when I got into a relationship, that was my first relationship. It happened that, I dated this one beautiful girl who at the end of the day, after 8 months, she said, you know what, we're not continuing because my problem was at that time I was starting my career in 2023. I was just starting off my career. Things were looking so well, and I had to focus between. I was starting entrepreneurship at that time, so and it needed time, it needed resources, it needed everything of mine, and so the time that I was actually giving back to the relationship was not that much compared to what she actually wanted. And so we decided that, what, let's call this off, and every other person does their own thing. And then it happened also that in the same week, a friend of mine committed suicide. And that was now two double heartbreaks at the same time. And so it actually affected how I was carrying out myself. It affected how I was doing work. It affected everything. And so I told myself, you know what, let me take a break and try out and figure out things, because I have never been in a situation whereby things overwhelmed me that much, because it was my first relationship. So I was like, I've never been in a relationship. I don't know how heartbreak feels like. I've never lost a friend, or I've never lost someone who is closer that I can, I can call a friend or a family. And so it was hard at that point, because I don't know how to feel, because I've never felt like that before. So I go home to, to relax my head a bit and
Painful, huh?
to
Ooh, that first love, that first breakup is
So I go home to take a little bit of break and to see, how I can adapt and help myself. But then it happens that when I go home, I tell my parents about my heartbreak, and they're like, you know what, you're the firstborn, so you have to be strong about such things. I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to get help here. Because if my parents know that, I need to be strong, because what happened is, in my culture, when people like my parents get mental health issues, what they do is they either go out with their fellow buddies, or go drink together, or just like go and story under a tree for like 3 hours or four, and then they're okay. But then mine is different, because I'm at a point where I'm an entrepreneur at that time. The loneliness of entrepreneurship is kicking in, because there's no one who understands what you're doing at that point. There's no one who is relating to what you're doing. You have a heartbreak, you have a suicidal heartbreak, suicidal heartbreak also at that point. And so it was hard. So I decided, you know what, why don't I look for therapy? Because I reached out to a couple of friends of mine, and they told me that they have seen therapists before. So I was like, you know what, let's go and see a therapist. And I'm designed in a way also that I also like don't share stuff with people. Like, you know what, I don't know how to open up to people, honestly speaking. And so I start pursuing a therapist at that point. And so pursuing a therapist at that point was hard, because number one, I have to focus back on job. My entrepreneurship job needs me. I also need to see a therapist. I'm also not okay, because half the time at work, half the time I'm out thinking about other things, but then rather than just focusing on work. And so it happens that, I looking for a therapist at that time. So I'm trying to weigh what time is the perfect time for me to actually go and see a therapist. But then I find out that because I was doing a 9 to 5, my startup. So what happens that I choose
so,
from nine.
so let me just
Oh,
jump in here a second,
okay.
so you're the firstborn. You're
Yeah.
responsible for three siblings that are
Yeah.
tall and slender build, and they were brought up in school, and you had to look after them. So there
Yeah.
was no one really to look after you. You had to take that burden of leadership and protection. Yeah.
Yes.
You then went through your first breakup, yeah, with your
Mhm.
love of your life for 8 months.
Yeah.
That's a breakup, and you lost a friend to suicide. And
Yeah.
when you took that pain to your family, yep, their
Yeah.
belief is, mate, suck it up. You're the firstborn. Put
Yeah.
your feelings aside. You've got duty to do.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay. And then you said, in my culture, it's like that. People go and drink or they sit under a tree.
Yeah.
I just want to say that that is the same globally. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's not a kind of a black culture, white culture thing. It's pain is like that, and people deal with it with alcohol, or they'll go off and do something, or your parents were unable to hold it and just thought, oh my God, what's going to happen to the rest of the family? Caleb's got to keep it together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then the overwhelm and the loneliness of that, of being an entrepreneur, impacted your business
Yeah.
because now you're sitting with all these personal feelings.
Yeah.
that are leaking out everywhere, and they're impacting your role as a business leader and an entrepreneur and all that pressure. Okay.
Yes.
So here we now have a young man that's really overwhelmed with life and is told, fucking sort your shit out. And that's when you explored therapy.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you for letting me slow it down. And the reason I want to slow it down is your story is so important for other people. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
important, this.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that feels quite sad, huh? Huh? For me,
Well,
I feel a bit tearful when I say that, but it really is important.
okay, so I'm not into drinking, I'm not into smoking, I'm not into all these things. And so at
Well, you've
that
got
time,
work.
yeah, at
That's your
that
best
time,
drug.
at that time there was nothing to, let off emotions to. Um, I used to walk in streets alone in the night with rain just falling on me. I don't know what I'm doing, but then come back in the house, I cannot sleep because I'm an entrepreneur at that time. I just have to continue working. At one point I went up to 3 days without actually sleep because I'm feeling as if I have a lot of work. Emotions are also kicking in. I have people who actually depend on me at that point of entrepreneurship. Every other person expects you to be at your 100% because you have to be a leader when actually you're being called to be a leader. Then at that point also you have to stand up for every other thing in the company. And so it was too much. It was too much. And it was too much.
Yeah, I get it.
Too much. Then it happens that therapy here in Kenya is $30 per session. So $30 per session, you're talking about $300 per in 10 sessions because, well, I believe that you have to go to 5 to 10 sessions to be okay.
So
$300,
what's the average monthly salary in Kenya? Do you know?
$250. That is the average salary.
$250.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
$250. So that is
Okay.
close to 230 pounds.
Pardon?
That is close to 230 pounds, right?
Okay, so £230 and it costs £25 a session. So it basically costs 10% of your monthly income for one therapy session.
Yeah.
Okay, so the economy's become a problem.
Yes.
Okay, great. Keep going.
And you see my time. So look at also my time. So I'm an entrepreneur 9 to 5, but then from 5 p.m. I'm supposed to go and look for a therapist. But then these therapists actually have their best paying clients at that time. So they charge more during the evenings because people just from work and then they want to get their high profile, customers at that time. So they charge more. So
Yeah.
if you have $25, $30 per session, then you have to choose in between the day, which is, for me at that time was hard. And so the price 300, I looked at $300. That is an amount that if the people that I have in the company at that point, I could have paid two people the same amount. So I was
Yep.
like, what? It's not going to make sense to go for therapy at that cost.
So I haven't got money and I can't get the therapeutic help that I need because it's out of my reach from
Yeah.
economies. Yeah. So push it down, keep going. Okay. You're the
And
firstborn. Keep going.
and that is actually how it is in Kenya, because in Kenya we have less than 5,800 registered therapists, the whole of the country. And,
What's the population of Kenya?
50 something million, 50 over 50 million.
Okay, so 0.01% of the population is trained to support mental health within the
Yeah.
country. right? Getting a great picture of the problem that we're solving here. Keep going.
Yeah, yeah. And so it gets to a point where I say, you know what, I can't go for therapy because it's expensive. And the times that, you know, if I have to go from 5 p.m. to around 9 p.m., then I have to pay close to $50 to $60 per session, because a session takes 1 hour and something. And so, you know what, the costs and the timing at that point were, you know, were bad. Like, you know, I just like never had the cost to put in therapy, and then the time also for at that time to actually have for therapy. So it was a problem at that point. But so, you know what, I decided to carry it myself and said, you know what, because I don't have the money, then I have to pay the price to carry this as my own. So it was still overwhelming. It was still painful at that point. It was still hard. It was still demanding. It was everything bad that comes with it. So I ended up not going for therapy at that point in time. But it kicked in because I'm like, you know what? There are a lot of people that also face the same problem, you
So
know?
now what you're doing is you're going out into the world with untreated trauma.
Yes.
Trauma is too much, too soon, too quick. So you really get overwhelmed. So you had a breakup, you lost a friend. That was trauma, let alone the trauma of business, which happens every day. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. And now you've got this living inside you. And okay, keep going.
I felt as if I was alone. I felt as if I was going through heartbreak and suicide at the same time alone. And
You were.
so
You were.
that that was the hardest part in this, because I was like, you know what, I'm doing this alone. I'm feeling as if there's no one else who is also going through the same problem. It's me against the world. And
I'm
why is,
alone
you
and
know,
isolated.
yeah. And so I isolated myself too much until I was just about to get depressed. I was just about to get depressed because I think I was also like inside depression, but then it never led to a very big side of depression whereby, you know, it leads you to go into drugs or something. But after every other day, I used to look at myself and say, you know what, I have I have made it through another day. Thank you, God, or something like that. But the loneliness was too much. That is the thing that beat me the most, because at this point, so when I started entrepreneurship, I had a couple of friends, like I had a lot of friends. And what happened was I had to remove most of them because they were not aligning with what I wanted at that time. And so I was left with a couple of friends, but then the couple of friends that I had were also doing their own things. They were also into their own ventures. And so getting them together to actually talk to them was so hard. And so you have to wait for the weekend to actually talk to them, or you have to wait for when they have an off day to actually, you know, go and out and hang out with them. And so it was too much. And because in my whole growing up and you know, coming up to this point, number one, I have never had a friend who has lost a friend on suicide. Well, my friends have had a couple of breakups, but then, you know, they took them positively. But mine, I was like, I don't know, I think it was my first love, so it hurt me the most.
Every first love breakup's like that. You think, oh my God, how did people get through this pain? It must be.
And I loved too much, but then I was not giving the time. Oh, wow. So
How are you
I'm into
feeling
the
now,
whole,
Caleb?
well, I'm feeling okay.
How's this
I have
conversation going?
the conversation is good. I
Okay,
think one of the things that I learned is to just speak, you know, just talk
good.
about what you're going through. It helps. It helps the brain. It helps you to actually cope and see. So now I'm at a point where I'm in the world with trauma, with depression. I don't know what to do. And then I find out that, there are also like a couple of my friends that are also going through the same thing, because it's designed that since there are a good number of therapists, and then there is also a lot of people going through the same problem. And then now it happens that a friend of mine gives me a flyer, and the flyer is for a community therapist. And the community therapist was giving therapy in a church. So, these organizations that have, free therapists, but then they are attached to a church, or a church has a department for mental health or therapy. Yes. So a friend of mine gives me a flyer for that. And then I go for my first session. And I went for 7, 8, 9, 10 sessions. And after that, I was just, I felt as if I was removing every other thing that was on my shoulder. I felt as if I was feeling a bit better again. But one of the things that I learned the most was, just go out and talk about your stuff, because talking about it actually releases it a lot. Yeah. And so that is actually how I found help. That is myself. But what helped the most is the fact that there was a free therapist, there was a community therapist to actually help out. And it was not just a community therapist, but there were a community worker. I think it was just like a community worker who was also like a therapist, who was also trained to be a therapist, because they had lived experience. So she had a lived experience on, I'll just like tell her a bit story of hers, that she had a lived experience. She lost her husband and her 2 kids on an accident. And so it was also too much on her end. And so she went through that and became a therapist. And now she was like, you know what? Let me continue to actually help other people to get therapy. And I got help from that point. Yeah.
So just to summarize again, you said you were touching a depression and
Yeah.
that you started to pray. So you
Yeah.
did know what to do. You knew to pray. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got given a flyer for
Yeah.
your church's network where
Yeah.
there was a community therapist that had
Yeah.
been trained using their lived experience for loss and grief, for a
Yeah.
tragedy,
Yeah.
that they'd been able to repackage in a way to support other people
Yeah.
going through this. And you started to attend, and you had 10 sessions, and
Yeah.
each session you started to unload this stuff
Yeah.
that was great.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Cool.
It's
Wonderful. How are you
it's
feeling?
I'm feeling okay. The loneliness is still there, because um, it's still entrepreneurship that comes with the loneliness.
Okay, so I just want to pause it there. So
Okay.
you're in the world of entrepreneurship and leadership, and it's a lonely place at time,
Very.
but you're dealing with it in a well way.
Yes.
You're mentally healthy and resilient in that lonely role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it happens that right now I run an organization with over 16 people that we have actually employed. And it happens that, well, it's still lonely, because you have to do a lot of things. I'm not in a relationship anymore, because I said, you know what, let me give myself a break, a
You
bigger
are in a
break.
relationship. You're in love with your company and your career, and you're on. That's a hungry lover. That one demands everything.
Oh, it demands everything, actually. That's true. It demands time, it demands attention, it demands everything. It demands your resources, it demands your brain, it demands everything. And so I'm like, I don't have any other space to actually just like bring another person and keep there. And so the loneliness, right now I'm okay. It took me over 1.5 years of struggle. But right now I'm okay.
So it's a process.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
a
So
process.
you went through a recovery process to
Yes.
reintegrate the trauma
Yeah.
into your daily life.
Yeah.
Yep. And you'd had therapeutic interventions.
Yes.
And what did you put around you?
Good. So the therapist that the therapist that I went to at that time, we are still actually in contact till today. And
Great.
then it gave me like one of the things that I did at that time was I created I removed the wall that was around me. I stopped feeling as if, you know what, I'm the firstborn. I need to shoulder every other thing that is thrown at me. And then I started becoming so intentional with my friendships and people that I have around me, so that the fact that I was not someone who opens up easily, actually I had to leave that behind, because I felt one of the things that helped me a lot is the more I talked about stuff, the more I started feeling as if it's not a burden. And then I started interacting with people that have the same pain at that point, because I felt as if, okay, it's not me alone who is struggling here. There are other people else who are also struggling. And so that feeling alone of, you know what, it's me against the world, well, it now became it's us against the world, because now we are like, you know what, we are now too many people who are doing this thing. So let's come together and see how it goes. And I started going to programs whereby, you know what, we just talk to people about mental health. So, talking about my experience, about my lived experience, also challenged me to also become better on, on how I'm behaving mentally. And right now, if I feel as if I'm not okay, I'll definitely talk about it, because I'm like, I know this thing is not going to happen how I want it to be. Let me go and talk about it. Yeah.
So there's a humility in your spirit and your soul now that
Yes.
goes, whoops, I need some help now.
Yeah.
Yep. And you go out there and you say, this is where I am, this is what. So you start to talk. You break
Yes.
down those barriers and just wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else you want to add? Because I'd like to move towards solution and business and our relationship, just to bring transparency to this work.
Interesting. Anything I would want to add is let me see. Um, I think in my lived experience, or in my fight with suicidal, the suicidal thing, and the depression and all this. One thing that stood out for me was the need of community,
Mm.
the need of community, the need of people with the same wars or the same battles, the need of help when you need it the most. The need of you feeling you're not well at midnight, but then you can just call up someone and discuss and talk. That need is one of the needs that actually stood out for me the most. Yeah, that is actually something that I would want to add.
So last night you accidentally called me at half
Yes.
past 12, and I saw it was you, and I thought, I know this man, I know this space, let me answer it. And I was able to laugh with you because I know that space. It's just,
which is actually really, really good, actually.
yeah, well, yeah.
Most of the time, it's always so hard. So, well, yesterday I had a good day, but it's not one of those good days, because Monday is the day that you set up goals for the week. What was not done on last week, you actually try to ask why they were not completed and things like that. You have introductory calls and things like that. So it's always a very, very overwhelming day on Mondays. But the fact that, I just like decided to laugh with me, that was so good, because I knew yesterday I went to sleep early because I was feeling kind of overwhelmed because the day was a bit harder. And so, the fact that you just called was so good of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk. So just a bit of history. I
Okay.
met you through my colleague Leanne, who's in
Yeah.
Johannesburg, who is really my right-hand person in putting together our course material and content.
Yeah.
Yep. And you and her had met, and she said to me, David, you got to meet this guy. He's like you. Mate, I don't know if that's a compliment, huh? Because Leanne is very structured, very like, yeah, me, Anyway, so we met and you spoke about your AI stuff and your tech, and then I
Yeah.
spoke about my stuff, and we've come together as we've got an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, where we're taking the training from the UACT Trust in South Africa, which is a public benefit organization which is mandated by law to go and help the public. So it's not a commercial business, let's make money based on providing therapy. It's not a scarcity cost thing. Like there are few resources, so the price goes up. It's like, here we are, community, blah, 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 but we need some sort of sustainability. So we've got an MOU um, where we charge £350 for someone to go and be trained. You've taken on the affiliate role, so you're going to go off your organization, your company is going to go and sell our trainings in Kenya, and £50 will go to you and your organization. Yep. The £100 will go to the trust to help spread the work, and the other £200 will go be allocated to the facilitator that's going to be training and certifying the individual, so that you have a professional there that's able to integrate their lived experience in a professional way to provide help. So you
Yeah.
don't have to go to university and do all that therapy stuff and all that sort of stuff, because you can still show up as a professional, get paid for something, but you need to be trained and taught, and yeah. So we're really trying to bridge that gap. Now, a lot
Yeah.
of people might do this and then go on to doing more academic and more professional work around that. But there's a lot of people that can't get into those academic systems. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we're using technology to really disrupt the system around that. So tell us about TheraBot.
Good. So TheraBot started from my lived experience. I felt as if the fact that therapy was expensive and the limited number of therapists at that point, which was a very, very big issue with the number of Gen Zs that are actually needing help, it was not making sense. We were in big problem because for example, right now, if 10,000 people need help and you only have 5,800, that is already a big number for therapists to handle. So, you know what, we were like, how can we bridge the gap with technology? Or how can we make sure that the 50 over 10 million people who need therapy can be served as well? They can actually get therapy as well, because it's not me only the person who was actually going through these problems or this type of need or this type of therapy, like that therapy problem or something like that. But we was too many people who needed help at that time. But we were not going for these helps because it was expensive, and the times, getting these therapists at the time that you needed the most was so hard. And so we said, how do we now bridge that gap? How do we bring therapy easier and closer to every other person so that they access it? And that is how TheraBot was born. So our main idea was we sat down and said, how do we make sure that the technology can bridge this gap? So we looked at a different options. So number one, we were like, you know what, with AI already coming in, what if we sit down with registered therapists and actually try and train an AI model from it and see how it goes? So we sat down with physical trained therapists. They helped us to, we took training data from them, and then we fed into an AI to actually help out. And so we took that data, put it on WhatsApp, because we were like, you know what, it's easier for everyone to access on WhatsApp because every other person is using WhatsApp every other day. And so what if we just put it there for free so that we see how people behave with it, how people, play around with it and see, how we are going to take our next step forward. And so in the background, as we are training our models, we are also putting it on WhatsApp so that every other person texts and uses it constantly and regularly. And so when we put it on WhatsApp, when we just launched and announced that, you know what, we have a therapy on WhatsApp, we had to shut down after 48 hours because that was too much of responses and too much of server time and too much of we were spending a lot of money at that time. So we had to go back and strategize and sit down and say, how are we going to go forward? Because there was the need. The need was there. The market wanted a solution that actually can bridge that gap for therapy. And so we partnered with an organization called Vonage. I think it's in the UK. Vonage is an organization that they help out with WhatsApp chats or something like that. And so we partnered with them. They accepted to give us, credits for free so that we actually test out the idea. And so again, we take it back to WhatsApp and then we open it up for every other person to test it out. And so, like building on top of what people already wanted, we had like a feedback form and we put things like guardrails. So whereby if in case someone is talking about something that is dangerous, we flag the response and then we connect them to a physical therapist. In the side, what we were trying to do, we were also trying to build a network of therapists in such a way that these available therapists that we have, can we make sure that we can, if in case someone need urgent care, we can actually put them to, channel them to these physical therapists. And then since other people still also don't have money, what if we bring in also community therapists to also come in and also, fill that gap? If someone doesn't have the money, they can actually, get to a community therapist. So what we were trying to do was we were the first point of contact. So, okay, we are the first point of contact. We assess your issue and then we connect you to the right therapist at that time. And so we built on top of that. Building a therapist group or circle so that it's easier to get them also. And then also building on top of WhatsApp now. So we actually went on from that. And then now our users wanted more. So they just never wanted to chat. They wanted voice, whereby, I have a full day of working. I just don't want to come back and text, but I want to use voice. And so we created on top of WhatsApp, we put voice notes. So you can actually use voice notes and then AI responds back. And so after that, we went on and created a full ecosystem of, many products around the therapy, products to do with voice, products to do with AR and VR, products to do with avatar therapists, whereby we have an avatar that right now that we're in a meeting here, for example, I'm an avatar and then you're a real human being. You can see me moving my hands and then, it's just like a control space for therapy. We went on and built technologies around how to.
Look how excited you are. Your kokorozashi.
Because when we solve this problem, okay, we are still in this, we are still in the process of solving it. But when we decided that this was the problem that we were going to solve long term, we were like, you know what, we are going to be in for a big role, because we are not going to only be making money out of this for, to keep us sustainable, but then we are actually going to help people to actually get real help. That was because I was like, I never got this help at the time that I needed it the most. Why must someone else struggle because they don't get the same help? Yet, God has given me the ability to, to be someone who thinks faster, who is good with technology. Why don't do it and try and see how it goes? And so, yeah, so we built a lot of technology around mental health. And so far, so good. We have over 61,000 people using us all over the world. We have partners like, like you guys in South Africa. We have partners in Rwanda. We are moving into Nigeria a few days to come. And so,
Yeah, you must understand we're in London and the Netherlands. The Netherlands is the mothership.
we are moving to Netherlands. Okay, we're already in Netherlands and everywhere. So through you. Yeah.
So
And
so really what we're trying to, so a lot of therapy is Western based.
yeah,
It's US centric or Western centric.
yes,
And we're bringing community to it. We're bringing
yes.
Ubuntu philosophy to it. We're bringing, like, you can spend 1 hour with a therapist a week, but what about the other 167 hours? And that's what this 167 recovery project's about
Oh,
here in the UK. So it's taking coaches to help people support them in the other 167 hours of life. Yeah.
wow.
So so it's a real good synergy between us.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to start to we need to start to wrap this up. But
Okay.
what what have you learned from this conversation?
From our conversation, what I've learned is if you want to grow faster, go with partnerships and collaborations. We are here because of partnership and collaboration. I believe that, what you guys have, if we bring people who have lived experiences to what you guys have, we are going to be able to bring out a big number of people to actually help out. Because I believe that AI is not going to fill in the emotional side. We still need humans at the end of the day. And if we still have a limited number of 5,800, what if, through you, we can actually move that number to 9,000, 10,000, 100,000, 200,000? Imagine if we have 300,000 therapists and we have a population of 600,000 people. It's still fair, but then we are actually going somewhere. One of the things, again, that I've learned about that 167, I'm really interested about it to actually see how it goes, and more of an explanation to it. But one of the things that, just speak out, because the more I speak out to you, actually, the more I feel as if I get better, and the weight in my shoulders actually just get out. And so myself and my organization, we are actually so, we are really, 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 really happy about this, and actually is trying to see how this actually is going to fold out. Yeah.
So two things I want to say. First of all, we develop coaches, recovery coaches, and wellness coaches
Yeah.
that work alongside therapists,
Yeah.
alongside GPs, alongside social workers,
Yeah.
alongside statutory services. So the role is, it's a new role that's coming into the marketplace that is underserved. So there's a new market emerging here, and we're taking technology and AI to improve the human connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of these professionals are drowned out with bureaucracy, with policies, processes, procedures, the paperwork, and what we're doing is using tech and coaches to help relieve that burden. So just to give you an example, in South Africa, the police force, Yep, a lot of the community's social ills are being dumped at the police station, where those ills should be going to a social worker. Yep,
Mm,
and the police aren't trained in social work. Yep, so
yeah.
so we've got a whole training path that skills people up in different
Mm,
stages. So
interesting.
I've loved talking to you, Caleb. Should we do it again?
Please, let's do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I think I'm going to bring Rabson in from Zambia.
Okay,
Yep, and then Bruno in from Uganda.
okay.
Yep. So
Yeah.
then we can kind of sit down. Okay. So how do we keep this African? Yep. How do we maintain our agency and our brilliance and our I'm going to say our cultural wisdom? Does that make our cultural wisdom around humanity? So there's not that split between, in my culture, we don't do this. It's like
Yeah.
that's just a human thing that happens around the planet. And I would like to say a lot of the community spirit has been lost.
Mm,
And so how can we bring that wisdom back and offer it to the world?
yes. Perfect.
Okay.
I'll be waiting for your call on that then. But actually, we can always just like have calls in the middle of the night
Mm.
and
Should
laugh
we?
together and see.
Okay, so two things. If you ever want to call me in the middle of the night, call me. If I can't take it, I can't take it. Yep. So I've got, like, I'll manage myself around that. But please reach out because working in this space doesn't do the 9 to 5 stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
yep. And then the second thing, let's slot in next week this time as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I check
Okay.
out with a lot of pride and gratitude. Thank you. How are you checking out?
Um, with how do I put it? How do I put it? With gratitude and the willingness to learn more, and also the willingness to see how the future looks like.
Cool. And finally, you okay with this being recorded and streamed and all that stuff?
I'm a public speaker, so I like everything of mine being streamed and put out there. And my lived experience. So I like it when someone can hear my story and then out of my story, they can actually, find out one, two, three, four, how they can actually get help and things like that. So I'm always open to recordings and things like that. Yeah.
Correct. A saying that I have is the problem in the world isn't the person telling the story. The problem
Yeah.
lies with the person that's listening to the story.
Yes.
Lots of love, my friend. See you next.